Speaking of numbers, April is Financial Literacy Month, and we are inviting experts to come on and share some great usable money tips that you can use.
Do you know the fundamentals of good financial management? Our great friend of the show, JB Bryant, is here with what you need to know. So
JB!
What's the very first thing, JB, that we need to know?
This is going to be different than anything you've talked to any other advisor about.
Okay.
I've created an acronym for your fundamentals of finances. Like this one word will keep you in track.
Does it spell cash?
Yeah, right? and it came out, I just took my fundamentals that I think are fundamentals, and I said, wow, it's debit. So debt, estate planning, budgeting, investments, and taxes. And it came out to debit. And I said, we use the word debit card so much that we think of debit as something that takes away. But in accounting, which was one of my majors in college, that in accounting, we call a debit is when you increase the value of an asset. So you can think of, if I follow the strategy of debit, then I actually could increase my worth, my net worth over time. So when we think about the first one of debt, and these are not like really in order of how you would address them, but I've found that in financial planning, you really don't address things according to what we want to address. You have to address things to what's important to the client. There might be someone that comes in and taxes are a huge issue for them. So we
like
can't,
as in tomorrow?
That's right. That's right. And understanding taxation can be vital, and you don't want to say, well, that comes at the end, you know, or that's later on. But really, it affects everything. Your taxation does affect your budget. If you're not taking care of your taxes properly, it's going to pull away from budgeting. It's going to create a debt. A lot of people have a tax liability, which we've talked about before. Like they're going to retirement with a tax liability. That's a problem. So we want to make sure that we do take care of unnecessary debts, and especially at this time of the year or this month. Financial literacy, take the time and look at your debts, look at your statements, what are the interest rates you're paying, how to avoid debts, and then go into estate planning as well. And I'm just following the acronym of debit.
Makes it easy for you as well. But also, I mean, it's a little roadmap for the person at home, your client, anybody that really would want to stick their head in the sand because they don't want to deal with the financial issues they might have.
Yes, and if you don't, especially when it comes to estate planning, I've seen too many people have a death in the family and the beneficiaries haven't been updated. So we don't really think about beneficiaries changes as an estate planning issue, but it's huge. A lot of your estate is handled by contracts. When you think about your retirement accounts, that's a contract, and that has to be changed through that contract. The beneficiary form has to be updated regularly, so make sure that you do your estate planning, and then you look into budgeting, how you're going to make these things happen. If you need to have insurance for a good estate plan, how do you pay for it? By doing proper budgeting. How do you reduce your debts? By budgeting. And then your investments. Right? And your investments, how are you making these things happen? How will you live during retirement? How do I do these things? Is through picking the appropriate investments.
Are you talking about budgeting like the day-to-day, you know, the grocery store, the car payment, the mortgage, whatever?
Yes.
And then you want to have a budget also down the road for retirement, thinking this is what I need to put aside?
That's a very good point, because you have to accumulate assets. You have to create enough debits on that balance sheet.
You have to accumulate that estate.
That's right. Create those assets through using your money wisely. And we've seen all these stories where they'll say, this person was a janitor, never made more than $30,000, and they have $10 million when they die. You know, that's from budgeting. That's from using their money wisely.
Serious budget.
Yes.
And
it's
and it happens. We hear it all the time.
More often than we think, because they're not creating debt.
Right.
No, and debt is a huge issue for many people with large incomes.
JB, tell us, we have about a minute left here. Tell us about the T
and taxation. Taxation, how to keep.
We could have gone with that. We didn't
that's
need to throw that one in
Then it would have been
last minute.
Then it would have been Debbie. We need to get to the T.
That T. I'm so glad, because how you tax your money, how you use even the proper tax form. Some people are doing the wrong 1040 form. They could be doing the easy, or they're doing the easy and they should be itemizing, and they have to do the long 1040 form. So they need to understand which form and make it your friend. Yeah, I like to say I love
tax form is our friend.
It's our friend. Learning to maximize the laws that have been set up for you.
A lot of my friends are complicated. It's okay.
All right, listen to this. JB offers free money seminars every Wednesday at noon, on select Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. at 3900 West Air Parkway, Suite 300 in Richmond.